Hello, so welcome you all to the lecture 3 that is a crop ecosystem and agroclimatic zone. For this lecture say crop modeling and simulation for agricultural production management. Earlier lectures we have discussed about the introduction to crop systems, crop production systems, and also we have discussed about the crop classifications. So, different type of crops as per the agronomic classifications, which is very essential to know the production management, and that is also for this crop modeling and simulation exercise. So, this lecture will take you to the crop ecosystems. So, not only crops, there are different crops are integrated with the different crops are together, crops with different enterprises. So, that we will discussing what are the crop ecosystems. And the agroclimatic zone, particularly when you manage the crops for a particular regions. So, that depends upon the agroclimatic zones, that is the field characteristic and the climatic conditions which influence the crop selections and the crop managements. So, let us go for this lecture. We discuss about the crop ecosystems and this agroclimatic zones. This will give you understanding about the crop productions, the environmental components, and how the climate and the soil that influence the crop production. So, in basics the crop ecosystem, if you see, is a plants or the crops, they are influenced by the biotic factors and these abiotic factors. If you see the biotic components, means these are the plant influenced by the competitions, different crops of different species, maybe same species, then the weeds effect and the pests and the diseases, they also affect the crop growth and development. If you see the abiotic factors, these are the soil factors, edaphic factor we can say, and the climatic factors, that is aerial factors. So, these are the either the soils and the climate, these are the crop ecosystems, the external factors that influence crop growth and development. The soil, we already have discussed the earlier introduction, earlier class, the soil, all physical, chemical, biological properties, how they influence this the systems, the crop production systems. Aerial factors also, this solar radiation, temperature, wind velocity, humidity, how they also influence the crop production. So, they all this biotic is a biotic factors and abiotic factors, they are in balance, that influence the crop health and the crop yield and sustainability. So, the productivity and I say the sustainability that depends upon ecological balance, that is say all the biotic factors, and the efficient management to control this to take care of this abiotic factors. So, that is what the soil plant atmosphere concept. And when you go for the crop ecosystems, particularly for the modeling exercise, we do particularly the abiotic factors that we do as a management practices, soil managements, how can take care of the water, how can take care of the nutrients. These are two important factors we do take care. And of course, the soil is a particular ecosystem, a different ecosystem had the different soil categories. For a particular soil, depending upon the soil fertility, soil physical properties and the soil biological properties, how your management practices can influence, can regulate the crop production, that is what say crop ecosystem you can see. So, if you see the different types of the crop ecosystem, that is as we discussed earlier. So, agronomical classification, we have given the crops like the cereals, pulses, oil seeds, vegetable, leguminous crops, root crops, tuber crops, energy crops, medicinal crops. So, these are the different groups of classifications. Every crop is classified because of the commercial use and they are the management practices. In particular, this is very similar a particular group of crops. So, you can have a particular nutrient demand also, this water requirement, and all they are the commercial aspects, they are the use, they are unique for a particular group of crops. That is why crops are classified for the agronomic classifications. So, that we have done for the particularly for the field crops, cereals, that we require the huge amount, or the pulses, or the oil seeds, that the root crops, tuber crops, energy crops, industrial crops. In addition to that field crops, now just a example, horticultural systems, horticultural crops, where we get the fruits, vegetables, flowers, gardening, landscapes, these comes under the horticultural crops. So, there is a huge branch. You can see, if you see your particularly human diet, we need the cereals, we need the pulses, we need the oil seeds that gives the energy. At the same time, horticultural crops, they provide the minerals, vitamins, many nutrients comes from the fruits and vegetables, particularly antioxidant also, it comes from the fruits and vegetables. So, this is a crop ecosystem. So, as you discussed the arable crop ecosystems, already you have discussed the previous lectures, that includes your the cereal crops, pulse crops, oil seed crops, root crops, tuber crops, fiber crops, then you have the energy crops, medicinal crops, these are the sugar crops. So, these are different crops comes under the arable crop ecosystems. So, this provides the food, fibers for this human being. At the same time, the food for the balanced nutrition, you need the focus on the horticultural ecosystems, particularly they provide the vegetables and the fruits, which provides the minerals and vitamins for the for the as a balanced diets that can boost the human immunity to fight many non-communicable diseases. So, there is a horticultural is a special sections where deals with many fruits and vegetables. In case of the crop modeling, particularly we have the some of the fruits and vegetables are included in these crop models. So, these are the individual crop systems. If you see like these are the human food need. If you see for the animals also part of the agricultural the farming systems. So, for animals you need the fodder crops. So, there is a pastoral ecosystems is there, where mainly this is a grasslands, fodder crops, particularly for the crops and livestock. So, there are many fodder crops, bursting grass, napier grass, lucerne grass. So, many grasses are there. They are grown. If the horticultural is the animal husbandry is a component of this farming systems. For this we need to include, you see the fodder crops. And the agroforestry, these is another systems where we have the crops and the trees, they are grown together. This is one type of beautiful, I can say, biodiversity, sustainability systems, where the crops are grown along with the trees, like alley cropping or the silvipastorals. They maintain a soil nutrient balance, and this you can say a natural farming, you can say also. So, very natural farming, you do not require to apply excessive nutrients or the nutrients for the crops, because there is a tree ecosystems and the crop ecosystem, they are aligned together towards a natural farming concept. The crop gets benefit of the sustainability and get the production. So, this is a agroforestry systems where silvipastoral system, crops and trees are grown together. So, the one which I want to am coming here, particularly this as a integrated farming systems. If you see integrated farming systems, earlier there was the farmers, the farmers used to have a integrated farming systems. So, used to have the crops, definitely these field crops like cereals, pulses. In addition to this, you are growing the vegetables in the field, and orchards, because farmers have a own home, there is a mango or the sapota or the lychee, some fruit or the guava, it is used to have. In addition to this, farmer is to have a fish pond, where the fishes are grown for the home consumption or the commercial purpose, and also this pond acts as a water reservoir, as a storage for the rainwater. So, this fish, duck or the poultry, so this used to have a component of the farming systems, when you go for this, that is as integrated farming. Here all the components are integrated together. In case of the crop modeling, we go for the the yield simulations or the yield forecasting for specific group of crops. But here this type of integrated farming system model, this is also this has started now, where we can have the crops, livestock, poultry, fisheries. So, these are the in a concept of the you can say circular economy, or you can say zero emission concept. That is what I can show you this one, either the zero emission concept or circular economy. Things are the agricultural enterprises, they are all integrated in one system, this integrated farming system. Suppose you have a farmland, so here the farmer can plan, particularly they can advise farmers based upon the land area, if you can go for the integrated farming systems. So, how much area can be diverted for the crops, how much area for the livestock. So, he should have the different components, like you have the crops, these crops may be your field crops, rice, pulses, oil seeds, vegetables, orchard crops, that may be a single seasons as a annual crop, say 3 months, 4 months, 5 months crops, or you have orchard crops like perennial crops. So, they are crops itself, there is a planning. So, if you have the crop land. So, first of all what is as a macro planning and micro planning. In macro planning, so we need to advise farmers, if you have a particular farmland maybe 10 hectare, or be a small farmers have the medium farmers 2 to 5 hectares, particularly for the medium they have a good farmland. So, how much area can be diverted for the crops, and also there is a livestock entry, how much can be given for the livestock. Like livestock, and also we have the poultry, then you have the poultry, you have the poultry unit, then you have the fishery, you have also fishery unit, you have the also there is other enterprise, you have the beekeeping also. So, what you say, these systems crop, livestock, poultry, fish and beekeeping, they are all integrated. So, this is a macro scale, we need to advise farmers, particularly the farmland, how much area can be diverted for the crops, and then livestock, poultry, fishery, beekeeping. And here you can say this is a zero emission or no waste, this is a concept of the no waste, you can say as a no waste or the zero emission concept. This we say as the no waste. So, this is a no waste concept, no waste, or is a zero emission. That means the agriculture contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. So, because agricultural activities, there is a methane emission, nitrous oxide emissions, carbon dioxide emissions. So, in this concept, so there is no waste, means the crop waste can act as a feed materials for the livestock. Livestock waste can be act as a nutrient fertilizer material for the crops, and also the poultry, if you have the poultry above the fish pond also, you have the poultry units or you have separate poultry units. The poultry feed materials is also produced from the farm itself, and the poultry waste can be used also the composting purposes, and the fish pond for the as a water harvesting structures, and also growing the fishes, and the beekeeping also. This whole concept can be done also in organic way, where there is no use of any chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides, and there is no waste concept, it is a circular economy. So, all are integrated. Even if the crops can be marketed as organic, as any crops you are growing, livestock means that you have the, suppose you have the milk, you have the organic milk, poultry can be also the marketed as a organic chickens, organic egg, similarly fish, and the bee also organic honey. So, here if a farmer he has a land size, this can be done, and this gives a beautiful concept of a sustainability or the biodiversity, where all the things are integrated together. We do not have any waste materials, every waste is reutilized for the any other enterprise, and this gives a sustainable farming system model. Earlier used to have, now because of the land fragmentation, disintegrations, small land. So, farmers have become very centralized, isolated, and they are growing only crops, and they particularly the livestock, and they do not have integration of things. But if this can be done, if the few farmers they can join together in a village, in a community. Now, you have the farmers producer organizations, if they can join together, they can share their land, or that means pool their land, bigger land size, and proper planning can be done how to improve that farmlands and have a sustainability farming. So, that the income also there can be model can be created, the income sharing, production sharing, that can be a beautiful example of the integrated farming system. So, now what we are doing, since you are going for the crop specific simulations, now simulations are for the integrated farming system model. So, there the if you there, but we are not discussing here the integrated farming system model for this subject, this lecture, but now the models are coming, where we can simulate for a particular land size and particular weather and the climate and the locations. We can simulate the land size and market also, is looking at the market. So, we can simulate what are the land size and the fragmentation and the diversion of the land, share of the land for different enterprise to make a profitable farming systems. At the same time, the farming should be sustainable and should maintain the natural the ecological balances, and also we can get a good balanced diet, particularly the farmers we can get a good balanced diet for the farm family itself. So, this type of system also coming on. So, looking at the if you see the importance, why do you want to know about the crop ecosystem? Because the crops are integrated actually. If this helps understanding what type of the crops you are growing. So, once you know the biotic factors, what are the abiotic factors, then you can have the efficient input management. Particularly, we discuss the next lectures about the growth and development, how they are important for the input management. So, this helps us to know if you are growing either a single crop or you are growing a combination of crops, that is say. So, that helps for the input management, particularly water, nutrients or energy interaction that can happen. And this promotes also ecological sustainability. I discussed also that's how through biodiversity you have the different in crops also, that you have crops, you have the cereal crops, you have pulse crops, that maintain itself biodiversity. And in addition to the crops, you put another enterprise like either the fishery, livestock, poultry, that brings a different level of biodiversity. So, that helps in understanding and making biodiversity, what you say, this is also essential to as a climate resilient systems. Once you have this system, I say earlier, as a integrated farming system, this is a climate resilient systems, where we are going for the climate change mitigations, because if you go for organic concept, there is no waste generations. So, we are not going to add on to the CO2 concentration or the N2 emissions from the field if you go for the fully organic way. And moreover, since these are integrated together, so there is a there is a maintenance of the soil fertility, and there is we can have, as biodiversity is maintaining, it can be a adaptability also toward the climate change. So, this also facilitates adaptation to climate variability by choosing a suitable cropping system as a. So, cropping as you see the crops, they require specific agroclimate, specific soil, specific climate. So, if you know the crop ecosystem, then this is a very important, very helpful to decide the particularly the season wise crop planning. So, that we need to, once you know the crop ecosystem, then that helps crop planning for the climate scenarios. Then that also supports a design climate smart, that is a climate smart and resilient production system that can happen if you know have better understanding of the crop ecosystem. And site specific research and technical transfer that happens. So, this gives understanding, if you know the crop ecosystem is very very important. We need to know about the crop ecosystem, different crops, either the cereal crops, pulse crops, oil seeds, fiber, or you are going for this horticultural crops like different horticulture also there is a mango, guava, sapota, these orchard crops are there. Vegetables, those are the seasonal crops, vegetables are there. Fruit, then flower also, now flower taking good market. So, once you know these crops, then it will be very helpful for understanding and also proper planning of this crop, the crop ecosystem. So, with this the crops, then you go for the agroclimatic zones. So, once you know about the crops, you have some idea about the agroclimatic zone. What is agroclimatic zones? Agroclimatic zones means the area, because in India the area divided into 15 agroclimatic zones. That is based upon the agro and climate. Agro means your field characteristic and the climate. Based upon the uniformity in the field characteristic, that means the soil topography, soil type, soil properties, and climate. Climate means the particularly you are going for the rainfall, how much quantum of rainfall you are receiving, and what is the evapotranspiration conditions. So, based upon the soil and the climate, India is divided into the 15 agroclimatic zones, particularly the climatic characteristic, the temperature, rainfall, humidity, soil type, soil fertility, topography and the altitude, and length of growing period comes once you know the crops. Based upon the you calculate the length of growing period based upon the rainfall amount received and ET of the crop, this is evapotranspiration. So, how much rainfall is received, how much evapotranspiration takes place, based upon that one we have the different agroclimatic zones. That is this purpose of the dividing agroclimatic zone, that helps the proper crop planning. So, every agroclimatic zone they have a similarity in the soil type, in the weather parameters, the quantum of rainfall you receive, the temperature characteristic, and this the humidity type, and this the length of growing, this length of growing periods. Once you know the temperature, you know the rainfalls, then how much rainfall received, and soil type, how much after the rainfalls, the post rainfall, how much water can be stored. Based upon that one, length of growing period is calculated. So, so based upon this, so India has particularly the 15 agroclimatic zones. If you see these zones are there, that you can say western Himalayan regions, that is one type of the number one. If you see this is the western Himalayan region. So, this is the number one. This has the uniformity, you can see this the type of the crops, mostly here the difference is the temperate region, you can see in India, the Himalayan regions, where you have the specific group of crops for these regions. Now, you can see the students from the all over the India from different regions, and they have the requirement of their different crops are grown different regions. So, this should know what are the crops for the particular agroclimatic zones, which is Himalayan regions. Similarly, we have the number 2, this is the eastern Himalayan regions. So, here you have the northeast region. So, they have the particularly different type of the climatic conditions and the different type of the particularly grown the tea is very famously grown here. So, these are the different ecosystems, And number 3 is the lower Gangetic humid basin plains, where you have the West Bengals and some parts of Odisha region. So, they have the similarity in the particular the climate. Number 4, similarly the lower Gangetic, the middle Gangetic humid basin plains, this is the upper Gangetic and the trans Gangetic humid basin plains. So, these similarly, so these are the 15 agroclimatic zones. So, now it is number 7 eastern plateau and hills region, this ones, this is the central plateau and hills regions, western plateau and the southern plateau and hills regions. And number 11 you have the east coast plains and hills regions. So, western plains and ghast regions number 12 here, 13 Gujarat plains and hills regions, the Rajasthan the western dry regions Rajasthan, and 15 we have the island region. So, these are the 15 agroclimatic zones. So, you are from different locations. So, particularly the species group of crops grown in different agroclimatic zones. So, in later classes we have a grouping actually, where you have the group presentations, and where if you know the crops you are grown from a different agroclimatic zone. So, you can group the students and they can have some type of as a grouping, they have group work, they can select the crops and go for the crop modeling as per the agroclimatic zone they are belonging, or the crops of the special importance for this group of students. So, these are the classifications. So, that helps in the research for the policy formulations for different agroclimatic zones. So, this what you can say from these lectures. So, particularly what is the takeaways. So, you know about discuss about the crop ecosystem, which integrates plants, environment and management within a defined area. So, understanding this I discussed the as a crop ecosystems that helps us for the management practices for sustainable productivity and ecological balance. So, that knowing this agroclimatic zone that helps for the efficient input management, and that also makes the maintenance of the biodiversity, soil fertility, and to optimize, particularly to maximize crop productions with a good amount with a profitable agricultural system. With this, I thank you all.